Greetings to the brothers. This is Waymon Brown, creator of the EsquireProject.com, a website dedicated to helping the self-enterprising black man to eliminate barriers to personal achievement. I'd like to welcome you to yet another video. I thank you in advance for your support as always. It's always greatly appreciated. Feel free to touch base with me. Check out the links in the description, and let's get into this next topic. This will be an introduction into a series that I actually want to do on this YouTube channel. Of course, as you know, my website, the EsquireProject.com, is basically around helping black men to create more options for themselves in the marketplace. And we touch on a lot of other things, of course, related to just black men's lifestyle issues. Of course, as you kind of browse the channel and check out some of my first videos, they were around a variety of different topics, but as the channel grows, we'll definitely be getting into much more along the way of entrepreneurship. So definitely stay tuned. And I think I'm just gonna title this one "Emerging into Entrepreneurship," and this is gonna be a part one to this series. So entrepreneurship is one of the forms of self-enterprise where we deliver value to a market, of course, by taking some calculated risks in the aim of earning profits. So earning profits, getting a return from the yield of our own resources is one avenue that we can use for establishing much greater leverage over the outcomes of our financial destinies. And it's also a very liberating avenue. You know, when you just think about it, your path may look something like this. You might have a job, but you develop the discipline of regularly allocating a portion of your income from that job, where you can then invest those funds into creating an original product or an original service, or even maybe you can offer existing products and services to a selected market of people. And then, of course, you take it further by investing into your own self-education, whether that may mean learning how you can enhance an area of talent, or if you just altogether develop a new skill in order to serve the needs and the desires of your chosen market that you're focusing on. You take it further even from there, and you create a system of demonstrating your value to your market, getting the word out there. And over time, people see that you're there, that you're consistent. You know, in turn, you start to build trust and credibility, and they, along the way, begin to show that they actually appreciate your work and appreciate what it is that you have to offer by way of monetary support of your initiatives. And that's a very empowering medicine, I believe, that can help to build the spirit of the black man, especially in this day and age, where we're kind of, you know, with the reputation of the last hired, first fired, so to speak, a lot of times in a lot of situations. Because when we practice entrepreneurship, when we can get to a place where we can support ourselves from our own resources, basically it helps us to understand that we really are resilient, even more so than we have already thought of ourselves. And it helps us to be encouraged and beating the odds. And it also helps us to know that we can come out strong after the dust settles. And achieving this sort of a success, we also end up adding incredible value to our networks. You know, whether it be a network of other black men or other people in general. And we can also position ourselves as leaders among our peers. And then, of course, we can further internalize the conviction that we can indeed eliminate barriers to our own personal achievement. But in the interim of getting to this destination, I do think that there are certain things that can serve us well en route, and also things that we should be mindful of employing even when we actually do reach our goal. So this first portion of the series, I'm just going to probably touch on about 3 areas that I think can help to be a nice platform for the other portions of the series. And the first area that I want to touch on is in the practice of gratitude. So our philosophy for our purposes here is that gratitude is the quality of being thankful for everything that we have in our lives right now and being appreciative of all those who support us. So right now, whatever your living situation is, whether you're renting a room in someone's home or apartment, whether you live in a spacious home for yourself, Be grateful for what you already have as you are in constant pursuit of what you want. Gratitude is a beautiful quality because ultimately it helps us not to underestimate the value of the things that we already have in the people who are in our lives in whatever capacity that they may be. So be grateful that you are actually able to have your health and your strength to pursue your passions, realizing that not everybody is in a position to do this. Realize right now that there are millions of people all over this globe. There are a lot of people right here, perhaps in the hundreds of thousands or more, right in America, if you're listening from the States, that would love to switch places with you in a heartbeat. Think about that. No matter how tough it may be right now, in some capacity, you are still privileged. Even if you think of something along the lines of having a vehicle that you might be dissatisfied with because it's not in the best shape, maybe it kind of breaks down on you a little bit more than you wanted to, or maybe you just want an upgrade. If it's getting you where you got to go, be thankful that you actually have personal transportation. That really is, even if you don't have a luxury vehicle, it's a luxury in and of itself when we're practicing gratitude. If you don't have a car, if you use public transportation, you got a bus pass, whatever it is, be grateful that there's a system already in place to help you get around wherever you got to go. Because that public transportation system helps you to get to that job. It helps you to get to the place where you need to start basically appropriating a portion of your funds for you to build your business and for you to do other things in life as well. So don't condemn the only things that you have right now. Appreciate them. Even if it's not as convenient as you like, appreciate what it is that you do have. Goes the same way when it comes to people. Be thankful that you have the people who are already in your life, especially if you have a very close family who's very supportive. And some of us are in all types of situations. Maybe you might find yourself estranged from the family that you had growing up for whatever reasons. But be grateful for the warm memories that you were able to create with them. Be grateful for the times that you did share with them. Some of us may have quite a number of friends in our life. Don't take those friendships for granted. Honor those friendships. Each and every single individual for actually choosing to share a part of their life with you. Appreciate them for who they are. And if you don't really have a lot of near and dear personal relationships, or maybe you might even consider yourself someone who doesn't really have any close friends, and maybe you just kind of associate with people here and there, your social setup in general in terms of your life may not really be where you really want it to be, or maybe it is where you want it to be, where you like to keep things limited. But nonetheless, whatever interactions that you have with other people, make sure that where there are positive interactions, that you're grateful for those as well. See, gratitude, it helps us to approach the day with a balance of both humbleness and confidence, because we know that whatever we have and whoever is in our lives is really a privilege to have those things and also to be able to associate with those people. But we also have the confidence to know that if we were to apply ourselves even further, really put our mind to it, have the work ethic to match, have the belief in ourselves to match, then we can attain anything that's already within the realm of possibility for us. Gratitude is a beautiful quality. And as you grow in your entrepreneurial endeavors, a good thing to keep in mind is to show gratitude for those who support you. Whether that support comes by way of actually purchasing something from you, whether it's a voluntary donation towards your cause, whether they share your message with other people within their network, make sure that you're expressing gratitude for those things before you even know that they'll happen. Anticipate those things happening because you know that you're doing the things that you need to do for those things to happen. And little appreciation or small amounts of small ways, I should say, of being able to be appreciative goes a long way. Sometimes it could be something as simple as an acknowledgement, a verbal acknowledgement. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing my YouTube page or my Facebook page, or for telling one of your friends or family members about what I'm doing. I appreciate you so much for donating to the channel that I have, or whatever it might be. Whether it's $1, whether it's more than that, it doesn't make a difference. The fact that you actually find what I'm doing valuable enough, I appreciate that. I appreciate you for buying my service or the product. And if it wasn't for you and other people who may be like you, then I wouldn't have a means to be able to practice entrepreneurship, because essentially, we help each other. We basically help to create each other in a way. So find joy in the gift of being a reliable and a trusted source that can meet the needs and the desires of improving the situation of the market that you choose to serve because of your own self-investment. And that's a beautiful opportunity to have. And as you listen to the sound of my voice as well, I want to thank you, brothers, myself, for allowing me to demonstrate my abilities in serving you. And I'm grateful for that every day. So no matter if it's one sale or 1 million, if it's one person that donated or 10,000, you're participating in free enterprise when you take the risk of using your time, of using your money, of educating yourself in an area and appropriating those resources to a group of people that you want to help, and actually get a yield on that investment of those resources. So be grateful, express gratitude every day. Indeed, it is a privilege. The second thing that we'll go into in this series is, or this first part of the series, is going the extra mile. A lot of times in business, a person's attitude is that as long as they lived up to their end of the bargain and did what they had to do, they did whatever it is that they said they would do, then the exchange is fair when they're being compensated at the agreed upon price. In other words, their attitude is that I did what you paid me to do. Now, quite literally, that might be all that's required. And when it comes to, let's say, a court of law, that might protect a business owner from being in a position where it can be said that they breached the contract for failure to render services. However, doing what is simply required does not equate to a good business relationship. If I were to ask you to recall some of your good customer experiences and some of your unpleasant ones, if you just really think about it, whether it was going to eat somewhere, you were at a store, whatever it may have been, right? You had a service that you needed at your house, whatever it may have been. I'm sure that there were some very specific things that made those interactions either very positive or very negative. Very specific things, or maybe even one thing that made all the difference on which side of the coin it was going to be on. And both those positive and those negative experiences, they stood out to you for their own reasons. And they conjure up certain emotions when you reflect on them, even several years later. So in knowing this, all of us who have decided to be men of self-enterprise, we're presented with a grand opportunity to shape someone else's experiences for years to come. And some of those people are those whom we're not even required to exchange anything with. And I'll give you an example. I went to a Hugo Boss store a few years ago at a local mall here where I live in Buffalo, and I walked in with these blazers. It was like 3 blazers I had bought from a thrift store. And I was trying to basically add to my wardrobe and also have a few different blazers because I was getting into public speaking a little bit more and doing things like that. So I wanted to make sure I had the appropriate attire. But what I was trying to do was I wanted to see if I can get the Hugo Boss fit, basically by taking those items to the store, and I wasn't really sure what their thing was on that, but I was looking to see if they could tailor my blazers. I wanted that that top shelf look, but I had that well drink budget. And I remember I went to the manager of this store and I inquired, and they let me know that as a policy they don't actually handle any outside alterations for garments. However, the manager of this store did something that has still stuck out to this day, and this probably was around 2009, 10, somewhere around there. So not only did he refer me to a local tailor that can basically get me the same look that I was going for, but he noticed that I didn't have anything covering my blazer. So he said, "Do you have like a bag for those or anything like that?" I said, "No. I just bought them that same day, and I just went from the thrift store over to the mall." And he said, "Hold on a second." And he went in the back and he brought out this Hugo Boss garment bag, like a travel type of a garment bag. That actually stuck out with me still to this day, because it was funny. I remember when he gave me that bag to put my blazers in. I have to admit that while I'm not a person who gets wrapped up in the actual designer brands for the sake of labels or anything like that, I felt like $1,000,000 walking around the mall, stopping in the food court, leaving out, carrying that garment bag with me, just because it gave me a bit of fuel to have the position, or to be in the position to be able to go in that store one day and buy something at full retail price if I wanted to do that. Now, I've told that story a number of times, and perhaps, I've helped Hugo Boss along the way get a few sales here and there, because it strengthened my belief that it really doesn't take much to make a major difference in someone's experience. And again, think about it. I'm going in there inquiring about something. I didn't spend any money. I actually offered to pay for the garment bag, but he declined it. And I don't even know how much it would have been. I just remember trying to offer him some money because I said, I appreciate it. I know, you're not charging me for it, but I really do sincerely appreciate you for putting me on to somebody that could help me, and at the same time for doing this. He said, no. He said, you know what? When you get yourself in a position where you can get something from the store comfortably for yourself and get something that you like, man, just stop down and see me whenever that day is. Just stop down and see me, because I can see that you're already going somewhere. Again, the manager didn't have to give me anything. I wasn't an actual patron of that store, but he still provided me with an excellent customer experience. And though that was some years ago, till this day, I actually still look forward to running into that gentleman. I'm not even so quite sure that he still works for that company. But if he does, or wherever he might work in men's fashion, if he still is doing that, I actually look forward to being able to be a customer of his. Because again, that experience helped to actually reinforce and further fuel my ambition to be in a position to be able to afford a suit from there. Whether I get one or not, whether that wasn't really the point of the experience to me, it was motivational. Now, as you grow within your own enterprise, especially in this digital age where automation reaches new heights every day, I think it's very important to be considerate of not being so far removed from the business process that you remove the experience of humanity. Going the extra mile pays off incredibly, whether that person is a customer or is not, whether they are directly supporting you or whether they are not. Never underestimate the power of an impression that you can leave upon a person in a positive way. And going an extra mile is really not that far. Oftentimes, it's just a walk around the block. The third area, before we conclude this video and this part 1 series, third area is to stay in the game, because success is on its way. Success often occurs when opportunity meets our preparation. Sometimes you don't know where the path to your financial freedom will come from, or from your ability to practice entrepreneurship for the sake of your self expression as well. You don't really always know where the path will come from, but you always have to be engaged in doing the right things that can put you in a position to be where you want to be. Don't get so stuck on the mistakes that you are going to end up making along the way. Learn from those mistakes and fine tune and keep it moving. Even the most skilled and talented actors, they have what are called bloopers, which is basically when they mess up during a take. But no matter how many times they've rehearsed their lines, no matter what school they may have went to, no matter how many movies or shows they've done, they still have bloopers. But just imagine if they gave up playing those roles right before they got a chance to really embrace that character, to really embrace that scene. We wouldn't even have a lot of the classic films or moments in television that have not only entertained us, but even influenced our outlook in a certain area of life. Along the way, as you emerge into entrepreneurialism, and as you go along this path, it's going to be tough. You're going to face some discouragement. You'll encounter naysayers. You'll be frustrated. You'll even perhaps find yourself uncertain as to whether or not you can even do it, or even if this is really for you. But stay in the game. Stay in the game. Understand the power of reinvention. Understand that what you may have initially saw as being your route may not be the route that's best for you as you go along. You don't have to always be so fixated on succeeding in a certain way only. You can kind of be like a nomad in a way as you kind of go along. There is nobility in figuring it out as you go along, and finding new ways as you go along, and achieving success in a way that you didn't anticipate initially. Because what you may have not anticipated being your path may end up being a major part of your purpose that literally can help millions of people. Definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Part 1 series, Emerging in Entrepreneurship. Be sure to touch base with me. Check out the links in the description, of course. Make sure you leave a comment. Always love interacting with everybody on my YouTube channel. Appreciate the love, appreciate the support. It's always been positive. I try to make sure I keep my content, as solid as I can. And I definitely thank everybody out there for giving me the opportunity to share my journey in life with you. So as always, keep your mind strong, fellas. Peace and love till next time.